Hello, welcome to Camaro Mods channel. Hope you're having a great day. Well, we didn't get a whole lot of questions this time on the last video. We got Leader of Wagons. He asked, would it be possible to expand the system to operate on 220 volt and say to run an electric clothes dryer or even a 40-gallon water heater? Yes, you can expand it. You can expand it to run your whole house, but that's going to cost a lot of money. I believe around 30,000, 25, 30,000. It just depends on what all you put in it. Just a small system like this wouldn't be cost effective. Not at all. I'll give you an example on my system. I've got about $2,000 in it so far. And just the batteries. Let's say I'm saving $20 a month on my electric bill. $20 times 12. I'm doing good to pay for 2 batteries in a whole year. So you see how cost effective that is. So it's going to take me a long time before I can even pay for the system. And that's just the small system I have. But yeah, you can run the inverters that you normally get is a single phase. They only run one side of your breaker box. Your breaker box 220. So you can get a dual phase. It's got 2 phases in it where you can run both sides of your breaker box, which would make it 220. But those are expensive. And you'd have to have lots of solar panels, lots of batteries, just to run that kind of system. But yes, your water heater and your central heat, if it's electric, uses a lot of power. Your clothes dryer uses a lot of power. But yes, you can go clear up to 220 if you want to. I mean, there's a lot of dual phase inverters out there. In fact, most of the UK, they run, even their computers is on 220. Your 220 plugs. I'm thinking that everything is 220 over there. Everything's got them weird looking plugs. But they got 2 prongs and then a center prong, kind of like we got, but they're a whole lot wider apart. But yeah, you can, to be cost effective to run, unless you got just a bunch of extra money laying around, you want to go completely off grid, then I guess you could make it cost effective. It would eventually pay it back. Someone my age, I'll be doing good to even pay off my system. You know, no more than what I'm going to be saving every year. But yeah, your electric heaters, even your little electric heaters, I'll go get one. Okay, these oil-filled heaters right here, I tried this right off the converter. That's a 5,000 watt converter over there. And this is a 1,500 watt heater right here. But it didn't like it. I mean, it really pulled the batteries down. Then it popped that 200 amp breaker. So no, I couldn't run this thing. Might be able to up my voltage on up my amps. I might go 300 amps on my breaker. I think you can run 300 amps on that line, on that size of wire. But the way that thing pulled it down, I'm not even going to consider using it, because it'd barely get warm good, and then you'd have to, as small as my system is, it wouldn't work. But that's 5,000 watts is equal to 5 amps. And this would be 1.5 amps. And it still won't run it. It's just too small of a system. So So much for that idea. So with that out of the way, we'll go to 24 volt, 48 volt. Right now 24 volt is the most common right now. And 48 volts catching up. I mean, it's getting a little bit more popular. Right now you go down to Walmart and buy a couple deep cycle batteries. You can buy a small inverter. Go get you some 100 watt panels off what is it, Northern Tool, and you have a real small system. You can't run a whole lot with it, but like I say, when you don't have any power whatsoever, then power is very, very valuable. You can't even charge your cell phone. Then we'll get into 48 volt. 48 volt, you can run smaller and smaller wires as you get higher and higher in voltage. 48 volt, you get a lot smaller wire to run it with, and wire is expensive. So if you go to 48 volt, you can run smaller wire, and I believe even your 24 volt inverters, your charge controllers are even a little bit cheaper. But locally, you ain't gonna be able to find them. You'll have to get everything online. I went ahead and got another solar panel. I just haven't got it put in yet. So I got 5 on top, 4 on the bottom, and I'll add one maybe next week. On your 48 volt system, you can run smaller wire. You gotta be real careful when you're working on 48 volts. It will shock you. You gotta be on your leads coming off your battery bank. The last two positive and negatives, that will shock you. But as long as you keep it under, as long as you keep the voltage under 30 volts, then it shouldn't hurt you. So 24 volt, 12 volts, fine. You get into 48 volts, you better be careful. You better pretty much know what you're doing. I'm not sure if I'll ever go to 48 volt. I'm going to stick with 12. One of these days I might go to 24, I don't know. And you can run two inverters to cover both sides of your... It's better to do it with a two-phase inverter where it covers both sides of your panels if you want to run your whole house. Now this size of a system right here, it will run a garage, a small cabin. It will run a tiny house. If you don't have, you can't have your energy hogs, like it wouldn't even run a 110 volt air conditioner very long. It'd probably pull it down a couple hours or something like that. It all depends on how you build your system up. Like I've got 2 charge controllers, and I really need about twice as many batteries as what I have. I got 5 batteries. I really need to go to 10 batteries. I'd have to make more room. I guess I could clean off the top shelf and put another row of batteries up there, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. Okay, Pete over on Camaro Time was asking, what can you run on 4-panel system? Those 4-panel systems are mainly made for RVs. So you put 4 panels up on top of your RV, got your charge controller, you can add 2 or 3 batteries to it. And see, in a camper you don't have a whole lot of real power hungry appliances or anything. Got a lot of 12 volt stuff. You can run a microwave once occasionally. You got 110 volt lights, you got 12 volt lights, you got radios, TVs, stuff like that that don't use a whole lot of power. And that's basically what they're built for. The 4-panel system, that's 4 100 watt panels, which you're not going to get near that out of it. Your panels got to be just the right angle in order to get the maximum sun. In the wintertime it's real far south, and your panels are more in a summertime position, so you're not going to get the charge power that you would you would in the summertime. Yeah, I've heard of people buying some property, say in Colorado or out in the desert, and they go to get electricity. Say they built a little cabin, and they want to get electricity out there, and they go contact the electric company, and they say, okay, it's going to be 8 poles to get out to the cabin, wire you up, and you'll have electricity. It's $1,000 a pole, so that's be $8,000 to get electricity out there. Well, I've heard of people like that. Well, just go off grid. For $8,000, you can buy a lot of solar power. That can buy 3 to 4 times what I have. Just to get, you can buy, you could get 20 panels. You could have 10 batteries, 15 batteries, and you're still not going to be able to run a 220 air conditioner all night. That's not going to happen. They pull your batteries down. You might be able to run a 110 air conditioner for, say, one room. You might be able to run that for a few hours. But even still, I'm not sure if it'd run all night. So, going completely off grid, using big, heavy 220, appliances, is just not going to work. So, Pete over in Camaro Time, I hope that answered your question. The 4-panel systems are made for RVs, and as you can see, in RVs, they don't have a whole lot of power-hungry equipment in it. TVs, stuff like that, DVD players, lights, and they do have electric water heaters in them, and I believe those are 110. You could probably run something like that on it. Most people run them off of gas. Okay, let's go to the next question. Was from Jason over JackFab. He asked me, what do I run on it? Well, I think we covered it pretty much that last time in the last video. The reason why I built the system was mainly for emergency use, for power outages, which don't happen a whole lot. But I didn't want to just get a system and just have it set idle and let it run and sit idle for days at a time. I want to use it. I want to be able to pull them batteries down, I want to be able to use it. I got that water heater idea. I put it under the house, got it all hooked up. Your cold water line goes into the hot water heater under the house, 6-gallon water heater, and out of that it's right up under the house. I mean, that hot water line that comes out of the little hot water heater goes straight up into the hot water heater into the house. So it only has to go maybe 2-3 foot is about all it's got to go. So it don't have to go very far at all. That's probably about the most cost-effective way of doing it. I mean, to run the whole 220 water heater would take 3-4 times the equipment that I have. Many more solar panels, many more batteries, bigger converters, maybe 3 charge controllers. It would take a lot more equipment to run 220. So it's really not that cost effective. If you can run a preheater going into a 220 water heater, then you're heating your water before it gets into the 220 water heater, and it don't have to run as hard. So, and it works very well. I let the system run idle all night long. I'll come out about 10 o'clock in the morning, turn the power inverter on, which turns on the water heater, and then around 3 o'clock I'll come and shut everything back down. That gives it a few hours to, and we're in there running hot water in the sink and in the kitchen sink and in the bathroom sinks, you know, and that pulls the water out of the little water heater into the big hot water heater, you know, different times of the day, taking showers and stuff. Anyway, that's the way I got it hooked up. That's the most cost-effective way they'll help me pay for the system, is by cutting down my electric bill as much as possible. Now, I'd really like to run the whole garage on it. These lights here, studio lights here, are just fluorescent, big old fluorescent bulbs. And then my other lights are halogen, and them halogen bulbs, they use a lot of power. But it'd be nice just to run this garage. But like I said in the last video, I got things I got to keep powered up. On the batteries, you got to have, you don't want to run, you don't want a car battery. You want something around, them batteries over there is around 75 amp hours. The ideal batteries would be something around 100 amp hours. That would be more what you need. These batteries, you can just pick them right off the shelf at O'Reilly's. I've got rid of a bunch of old batteries around here by swapping them out. I probably got a few more around here that I could do that with. But I would like to get a few more batteries, but I'm not going to really worry about it right now. Like I say, no more than I use this thing. And I don't really use it a lot at night. So with the hours that I'm running it at, 10 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, then that's in your main sunshine time. Now, I kind of touched on this on the last video. On a cloudy day, you can't really run. I can come out here and run it for 30 minutes or so. I can pull the batteries down some, and then I'll shut it back off. But if you had a tiny house or a cabin out in the woods, a system about this size would be fine. I mean, you could run your microwaves, and you could even get a few more batteries and even run a 110 air conditioner for a little while in the heat part of the day. But I haven't even tried running a 110 air conditioner yet. I'd like to try that and see how that's going to work. And I imagine it's probably going to do about the same thing it did on this heater that I had up here a while ago. It's probably just going to, see, that'd be around the 1500 watt range too. I imagine they just suck her down and kick a breaker too. See, this is not a very big system at all. But you can run, that little 6-gallon water heater has probably such a small heating element in there. It's probably half the size of your big ones, you know, that you put in your 220 water heaters. And it's only a 110, so it's going to be a very small one. And it don't pull the batteries down, it don't pull the converter down. So it's really just it works very well together. You need something like that. Because if it pulled the batteries down real strong, then I probably wouldn't be able to use it. But if you got a garage and you want a system like this for your main power, say like you got a tiny house or a cabin out in the woods, and you don't have, this is your only power you have, then you're going to need a generator on cloudy days. That way you can fire it up and charge your batteries. Run the generator in the daytime and charge your batteries up. I mean, cloudy days, they charge a little bit. You might get, I'll have to do, next time we have a cloudy day, I'll have to bring the camera out here and show you how many amps. It's basically like a trickle charger. You might get 2 amps, 5 amps combined together. See, it's just like that's about like a 5 amp battery charger. That's not a whole lot. I think this is going to pretty well wrap up the solar panels. If anybody has any more questions, ask them below. But I think this is we might do a review later. I ordered another wind turbine. I bought one and I had a friend of mine came over that I used to work with. We both retired the same day. And he seen my little wind turbine. It has 3 blades on it. I kind of want a 5 blade because it'll start up in a little bit lower wind. 5 blades on it are going to catch a little bit more wind on it. I told him I'd order him one. And instead of ordering one, I wound up letting him have the one I had. And I basically got a 5-bladed one for the same price. Now I hope it's a 5-bladed one. I haven't got it in yet. Up in the main description talks about 5 blades. Kind of in the middle talks about 5 blades, but down in the bottom part talks about 3 blades. So I don't know how messed up he's got his auction anyway. So that's going to do this series. If you have any questions, just ask them below, and thanks for watching.